Okay, welcome back everyone to Ask the King, episode 26. This is part 2. Be sure to watch part 1 so that you don't miss out on a lot of the questions I've already answered. But let's jump right back into it because I've got lots more questions to answer, so here we go. Next question is, hey Phil, because Suicide Kings for Red Dead Redemption was so popular, would you consider doing a Suicide Kings series for a different game? Many laughs were to be had for sure. That's from Jurassic Tunga. If you don't know what he's talking about, back when Red Dead Redemption came out, yeah, it's been quite a while now. But way back when, I actually didn't have the Red Dead Redemption playthrough that I did on my main channel on YouTube because I was afraid I was going to get copyright strikes from Rockstar Games. So I actually made a separate channel called Red Dead DSP, and this channel still exists. I've got my Red Dead Redemption playthrough and also my LA Noire playthrough are up over there, okay? Now here's the thing. After we beat Red Dead Redemption, which I thought was the best game of the year that year, I also went ahead and did a special series called Suicide Kings where myself and my friends teamed up, all played online, and we just basically tried to kill it ourselves in the most ridiculous fashion. Like load up a wagon with 6 dudes and just full speed roll it off into a waterfall and watch the bodies flail and the fucking wagon go crazy. And it was extremely successful. It got hundreds of thousands of views over the 3 parts that we did of this series. And I really enjoyed doing it. I thought it was awesome. I think I would like to do projects like that in the future rather than just straight game playthroughs. That's an interesting diversion. But I haven't really found any games where that's possible. There hasn't been a Grand Theft Auto game since then. LA Noire, unfortunately, was very limited with what you could do in that city. It wasn't really like you could do insanely crazy stuff. It was a single-player game. That was a downer. You couldn't really do it. So I guess the exception would have been Saints Row the Third. Unfortunately, not a lot of my friends actually bought Saints Row the Third. So if a major game comes out, for example, Grand Theft Auto 5, when it comes out, if it has major multiplayer like Red Dead Redemption did, and if we could do a Suicide King style thing, I'll probably do it. So yes, I'm interested in it. It's something that I'm looking to do. I just got to find a game where it will work. Okay? And I forgot to start my timer, so I'll start it now. Yeah, my air conditioner went on, so you're probably going to hear the fan blowing, and I apologize. There's nothing I can do. Next question. Hey Phil, have you heard of a person by the name of John Dangerous? That sounds like his real name. Also known as Dr. Sub-Zero. I wanted to know your opinion on the guy, considering he's a part of the fighting game community on one of his older Ask Dr. Sub-Zero episodes, which sounds strangely like Ask the King. He and Justin Wong named you as one of the biggest assholes in the fighting game community. Personally, I like both of you, but I think both of you are funny, but I was just curious if there's any history involving you two. That's from Manasama SRK. Well, I'm trying to remember who Dr. Sub-Zero is, because I think he used to be called something else. I'm almost positive he used to have a different name in the fighting game community. The bottom line is this, okay? I don't even consider myself really a part of the fighting game community anymore, at least not part of the competitive one. I don't go to tournaments. I don't play the games. I mean, I play them for my DSP Street Fighter channel, but I don't play them to the level that I used to play them. So I have absolutely no idea what they were talking about, why they're naming me one of the biggest assholes when I'm barely even involved in the community anymore. But it's just funny to me because it seems like this happens every few months. Someone's like, Phil, did you hear so-and-so in the fighting game community said this about you? I'm like, what? Why would they even be talking about me? What do I have to do with the fighting game community? Nothing. Someone just showed me a video from like November of last year at some West Coast tournament. It's like James Chen and Mike Ross are standing there talking, and someone says, Mike, do you think you'll ever have as many subs as DSP does? And he goes, oh, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who he is. Like, it's like an insult or something. Like, Mike Ross, I don't care about you or anything about what you're doing. Why people are like insulted that my name even gets mentioned. I don't understand anything about what happens over there. Like, I guess they think because I blew up on YouTube and because I'm doing this full time that like I don't know, did I betray them, or because I'm not doing competitive fighting games anymore, or because I've been very critical of fighting games and I said I don't like Marvel and stuff. I don't know what's going on with those guys. It's just funny that whenever first of all they consistently mention me, even though I rarely talk about them unless there's a hot topic going on, and I just don't understand why it's always got to be like an insult or something. So whatever, let them do whatever they want. I don't know. I'm almost positive Dr. Sub-Zero used to have a different name in the fighting game community. I don't remember what it was, but I haven't been involved in that community in 100 years. I don't know anything about what's really going on. I don't really care. So if they think that I'm an asshole, Well, I guess I'm an asshole. I don't know what it's in reference to. I don't remember directly being in any arguments with Justin Wong or Dr. Sub-Zero recently. So whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Let them do what they want to do. Fuck them. Next question. Alright, this is a little bit more serious. A lot of people ask me this. Obviously, everyone's heard about this at this point. The tragedy in Colorado that happened last week during the midnight premiere of the Dark Knight Rises movie. And I didn't address it at that time because I knew the question was going to come up and Ask the King anyway. And we wanted more information to come out anyway before any kind of comment was made or I make any kind of comment on it. Here's the bottom line. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to make any statements about gun control. I'm not going to make any statements about what's right and wrong and yada, yada, yada. I'm going to make a general statement about the state of America and in some ways the world, okay? Here's what's happened in the past decade. With the dawn of the internet, with the dawn of TV going over to like a lot of reality style TV and such, it seems to me that people now think that being normal and having a normal life is no longer acceptable. It's boring, it's like not honorable. Like, in order to get respect, or you know, you have to be well known, you have to be known for something, you have to blow up, you have to be an internet celebrity, you have to be a Kardashian, or you know, one of these reality TV stars that are famous for absolutely nothing, like the Jersey Shore, you know what I mean? Paris Hilton and such kind of started this trend where it's like, gee, that person has no talent, that person has absolutely nothing interesting about them, yet they're extremely famous and rich, I could do that too, I have to be noticed. And this seems to be a mentality, like, so a lot of people, as soon as they upload their first video to YouTube, they're like, I'm going to blow up. That's the only reason I'm putting up videos, because I want to blow up on YouTube. And it's like, that is such the wrong mentality to have. It's okay to have a normal life. It's okay to do stuff just for fun and not to expect to get famous and rich and shit off of it. So many people I see, they start, even in the fighting game community too, there are people who are doing it just because they think that's it. It's a lifestyle now. I'm just going to expect to become known and famous and I'm going to be a celeb and I'm going to make it. No! It's okay to be normal. This guy, this insane fucking dude who murdered all these people, look at his life. He had a solid job, he had money, he had a place to live, he had a car, he obviously had a shitload of money to start buying all these assault weapons. He was actually, at one point, he was in medical school to become a doctor. He drops out of medical school, becomes all depressed, and I guess, you know, some people were actually saying that he was like kind of a loser, kind of a loner type. From what I can see, it looks to me like this is a guy that's like, oh, I'm not satisfied with having a normal life. I'm not getting noticed. I'm not getting famous. Look at me. I'm going to dye my fucking hair color. I'm going to go pull this fucking crazy thing off, and I'm going to go down in infamy. Because everyone knows that it doesn't matter if it's being famous or being infamous, it's still attention. And it seems to me that's all this was. It was a cry for attention from a guy who was so wrapped up in his life being boring and normal, and he didn't like that. And of course that's an insane thought that he would take it to the level that he did, okay? But I think there are a lot of people who are of that mentality, and that's a shame. I mean, let's be honest. First of all, does anyone want to be Kim Kardashian? I wouldn't want to fucking be her. That's like a horrible life. I'm sorry to say that, but a ditzy fucking celebrity, you really don't contribute anything, yet somehow people throw money at you left and right. I mean, the cast of the Jersey Shore, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, how did Paris Hilton, she fucking hasn't said intelligent thought since, like, she came out of the womb. So, and even then it was just to scream as a baby. So it's like, these people are non-entities. They don't contribute anything to society if they become rich and famous. Do you really want to be that? Or would you rather be a productive person in society who finds a way to do something nice, who helps out people, who, even if you're the guy who works on the assembly line, at least you're making a product that someone can use and make their life better. So I would much rather be someone like that than one of these non-entities. And I don't understand why people just, oh, I'm doing a normal thing. This kid was studying to be a doctor. He had a bright future ahead of him. Not good enough. I'm going to go fucking make a name for myself. It's just sickening. And I'm sorry, it almost seems like it's a result of the sickness of our culture. This day and age, everyone wants to be famous. No one can settle for just being normal, and it is kind of scary. It is scary that this kind of stuff happens. And the question is, if it happened to this one guy, how many other hundreds to thousands of people are out there who are just on the edge, the precipice, and they're just about to go over. They're just about, at any moment's notice, if someone treats them wrong, if someone says the wrong thing, they're going to snap and they're going to do the same kind of thing. And it's a scary fucking thought. But it's unfortunate what happened. There's nothing that I can say that's going to make it any better. That's why really I don't understand why people are like, they all want me to speak about it immediately when it happens. Like, what am I going to say? It's an awful occurrence. I'm very sad and upset that it happened. And I think that people just need to stop with this mentality of, I need to be known, I need to be seen, I need to be famous, I need to be, you know, I need to have my 15 minutes, whether it's of fame or infamy, I still need to have my 15 minutes. It's not worth it, okay? That's all I have to say on the subject. Alright, lots more questions. Hey Phil, I wanted to ask, why do people ask for likes in their videos? You said that you get paid for your views, not likes or dislikes, so why do people care so much about likes? And that's from Master Chief XQR316. I can't give you a definitive answer because I personally don't ask for them. But what I can tell you is I'm almost positive that likes, if you get a certain amount of likes that you get like on the main page of YouTube, where you have a higher chance of showing up in related videos, it has something to do with YouTube's algorithm of how it shows other videos, okay? So the more likes you have, the chances is better that other people are going to see your video, at least from what I'm to understand. I don't ask for likes simply because if you don't like my video, I don't want you to click it. I'm not going to beg for stuff. If you think you like the video enough, you're going to like it. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Okay, now we're going to move on to Twitter questions, and then we're going to end with Facebook. From Triple Maniac 24, he says, apart from Street Fighter, has there ever been a game you wish to play competitively? Outside of Street Fighter, probably the only game that I enjoyed to the point where I would have wanted to play it competitively was actually Call of Duty 4, the first Modern Warfare. I liked it so much that I actually went and entered a tournament for it at the time at MagFest, of all places. MagFest had a tournament, and I was actually part of Team Screw Attack. That's right, ScrewAttack.com actually attended, and I was hanging out with them because I was a big fan of their stuff back then. I watched it all the time. This was before I'd ever uploaded a video to YouTube. And I said, I'm pretty good at the game. And actually, our team got second place in the tournament. We did pretty damn good. I liked that game. I think that the series, unfortunately, kind of has gone downhill since then. That was kind of the game that took first-person shooters to the next level. The experience that you gained when you played online, you did unlockables and stuff. The campaign was extremely epic and dramatic. I think that game really is, in my mind, still is probably the best first-person shooter ever made. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. I know people say, what about Halo? What about this? What about that? I still think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 is the best first-person shooter ever made, in my opinion. And that was the only game that I thought maybe I would try out competitively, but then when I actually saw the amount of people who were doing it competitively, the amount of, practice, the fact that there weren't really a lot of stuff going on locally around me, like LAN centers or anything. I would have to travel to do it. I said forget it. So that was the one game that I was considering, but I didn't get into it. From Horror C Guy, he says, how do you feel about Apple as a company? Do you like their products, and would you buy their products? Thanks. I'm not going to go on a rant, I promise, but I do have some stuff to say about Apple products. I think that Apple, in some cases, does a lot of things innovative, and that's great. In other cases, they get a lot of credit for things that really are just like not needed, to the point where I don't understand why it catches on and why there's so much hype around their products. Let me explain. They made some of the best personal computers ever back in the day. I'm talking the 80s, okay? Much credit for that. Today, their computers are exceptional for video editing. Still the best computers you can buy for video editing. Awesome. When the iPod originally came out, it was an original, innovative idea. It was timed perfectly with the way that music was going over the internet, over the MP3s, and people were able to have music on something other than a physical medium for the first time. Crazy innovation. But, that being said, the iPhone. What does the iPhone do that so blows you away that it's changed the way that things work? You tell me. Sure, it runs apps. Do you need apps really to fucking do anything? Not really. GPS already exists, you know what I mean? The things that the iPhone claimed were innovative weren't really innovative. Touchscreen? I don't want a fucking touchscreen. I don't want a screen that when I touch it is going to have fingerprints all the fuck over it, and it's a pain in the ass. My phone has a touchscreen. I fucking hate it. I wish I didn't have a touchscreen, but this was the only one that they had at the time, and I had to get it. I hate touchscreens. They're flimsy, they've malfunctioned, they get dirty. It's not good technology. The iPad. Let me tell you about the iPad and the huge fad of these tablets and things that have come out since the iPad. They're fucking worthless. What does the iPad do that other computers didn't already do, except now you're putting it in a flimsy thing that if you just go bink on the table, it'll fucking break. It's a piece of shit. I don't understand the fads and the people, oh, Apple's so crazy, I'm going to wait in line for 42 hours to get the next new product. Like, what is your problem? They haven't really done anything innovative since the iPod. The iPhone and the iPad only took existing technologies and combined them or refined them, but they're not must-haves. I don't have an iPhone. I don't have an iPad. I don't need them. They wouldn't add anything to my life. I can see maybe a couple people who, alright, I don't regularly use a computer. Oh, look, the iPad's like a simplified computer. Okay, but how many people don't use computers? How many people who bought the iPad didn't already have a personal computer or a laptop already? It's ridiculous. I don't understand. It's just, I think it's these people, they get so hyped up into it that anything that this company puts out, they have to buy. They'll pay a ridiculous amount of money for it, even though it's not worth that amount of money. And I really, unfortunately, outside of, like I said, the fact that they made really good computers for video editing and the fact that the iPod was really innovative at the time, I didn't jump on this hype bandwagon for Apple. I don't think they blew anyone away or really advanced technology that much. Wow, we have iPads now. What has that changed? You tell me. I don't see anything innovative being done with the iPad. That's just me. Next question. This one's from XX Stealth 56. He says, what are the top 5 places in the world you'd like to visit? Right off the top of my head, I would probably say Italy and England, possibly France. I would like to do like a tour of Europe almost, hitting up some of the major countries. I've always wanted to go back there because that's where my roots are. My cultural roots are from Europe. Maybe Poland. And then maybe I would say probably I would like to check out some of the nicer parts of Canada. A lot of people have told me some nice things about some of the major points in Canada. At one point I would have said Japan, but now that my friends have been there, I kind of don't want to go. I don't think it's even worth the long-ass flight, especially with my back and the condition that it is. I don't think the flight would be worth it to be living in this overcrowded, overexpensive place, and I don't know. I've seen the videos of John Rambo and Howard. I don't think I need to go there anymore, to be completely honest. So that's probably what I would do. I don't know if it's a top 5, but I would say probably Europe and maybe some of Canada. Next question is from Craig300. He says, what is the most satisfactory part about doing YouTube full-time? Funny question, because this is perfect timing. I was talking with my mom today on the phone, and she was like, so what's coming up? Are you going to any events or anything coming up? And I said, well, I think the next event, major event that we may be going to is New York Comic Con in October. In fact, there is a chance, fingers crossed, we may actually be able to get press badges for that. I'll give you more details on that as we get closer, but there's a chance that that might happen. And I said, wait a minute, I feel like I just went to New York Comic Con. Wasn't it just last year where we were there and I was complaining about how I couldn't get into the Rockstar stuff and record because they were being so secretive? Wasn't it just then when OJ was selling candles, we were sitting there and we met the fans, a lot of our fans for the first time? I was like, it feels like yesterday. And then I thought back and said, wait a minute, I remember New York Comic Con 2010. When Marvel vs. Capcom 3 first premiered and they had it there, and I remember waiting in line and I met Seth Killian was there and I shook his hand and I played the game for the first time. And I was like, damn, time is flying by. Compared to before I was doing YouTube full time, time is really flying by. And my mom said, well, you know, I guess that's what happens when you stay busy. I said, you know what, Mom? I don't think it's that I'm staying busy. I actually think it's because I'm having so much fun. The stuff that I'm doing for work is so enjoyable to me. And I'm getting to travel. I got to go to E3 for the first time this year. I'm going to gaming conventions. That's amazing. And meeting fans. We're having panels. Project 7 is a successful web series that's going to now premiere on Machinima. All this positive, fun, gaming-related stuff is happening around me. I'm having so much fun. I really think that's the most satisfactory part about doing YouTube full-time. Not only that I'm becoming more popular, as you see. More and more people are subscribing. More and more people are watching. But the fact that I'm getting to enjoy what I do for a living. That's the #1 positive thing about doing YouTube full-time. Okay, next question. From JLB1, he says, why don't you ever go on the show with Super John Rambo and Fresh Show Jason Pope anymore? To which I say, because they haven't asked me on. I mean, when the show started about a year ago, if you remember, I was one of the first guests. Then I came on again later on to talk about Black Friday. Then I came on again to talk about Project 7. So I've been on the show several times, but I don't know. Maybe it's just they didn't feel there was anything that I needed to be on the show for. You know, I went to E3 with John Rambo, but he did an E3 recap kind of by himself. He didn't ask me to be on the show. Again, you're asking the wrong person, you know. That's John Rambo and OJ's baby. That's their thing. If they want me on the show and they ask, you know, obviously I would do it. If you want me on the show, you should tell them that you want to see me on the show. And I don't know what I would talk about. I guess you'd have to figure out if there's something related or something I could talk about. But you got to ask them, not me, guys. It's not my show. Next question from Bertos. He says, are you planning on moving out or getting a bigger place in the next coming year? It just seems that you definitely need the space at this point. He's absolutely right. As I said in my recent condo tour, my place is getting extremely crowded. I got piles of shit that I have nowhere to put, just kind of sitting around. And do I need the space? Yes. Do I need to move? Yes. And the other reason is because it's extremely expensive here in Connecticut. It is just, the taxes are high as hell, the prices are high as hell. If I were to move to a state that was number one, more business friendly, so I didn't get taxed as much being self-employed, and number two, where prices were lower, I'm not going to make any less money. You know what I mean? The state is, unlike other jobs, my pay isn't going to scale to the cost of living where I live. And my previous job, what I was making here, if I were to do the same job in another state where prices and taxes were lower, I would have made less money doing it. Being that my job is on the internet, I'm going to make the same amount of money no matter where I live. So it would make sense for me to move to a state that's more friendly, that maybe prices are cheaper, taxes are lower. Problem right now is, unfortunately, with what's going on with my parents, my dad just lost his job. I'm a little bit nervous. I kind of want to stay close to home for now. We've actually had some talks about some things that we could do to help them out. Possibly they even maybe signing over their house to me and putting it in my name. So that the possibility that maybe my mom could go on state health care coverage, because my mom does have some health problems that she needs to basically use health insurance a lot. And it looks like it's going to be pretty much impossible for them to afford health insurance unless my dad finds another good job, which probably is not a very good possibility. In addition to that, she has pre-existing conditions. She might not even qualify. They might say, oh, we're not even qualifying you, we're not going to cover you. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now with my parents that I'm worried about. Originally, I'll be honest with everyone, I was thinking that maybe next year I would start looking for another place to move. But until this whole thing with my parents pans out and we see what's going to happen with it, I'm kind of stuck here right now. And that's just the situation. Next question. Hey Phil, do you think that when you're done with Project 7, you'll put it on a DVD? And will you make any more series? The answer to that is, we're planning on doing that. In fact, what we're looking to do is maybe after we finish the episodes for this year, which we're planning to maybe put out maybe 2 more episodes this year, what we may do is do a DVD of Season 1 of Project 7, which will have the first 6 episodes, plus lots of behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe like a developers roundtable where we're all at a table talking about our experiences with the series and how it's panned out and stuff like that. If things go according to plan, we may be looking to do something like that by the end of the year. Maybe it'll be something that we'll have for MagFest next year. So more on that as it approaches. Now for the Facebook questions to end the episode. Matthew Lewis asked, the Hateful Truth episode 100 is approaching, so are you planning on doing anything special? Well, let's just say I may have something in the works. Not going to reveal it and spoil, but I might have something. Okay, next question from David Cortez. Would you consider doing a series in which you tell us which are, according to you, the best video games you've ever played, the best characters, the best boss fights? It's always a consideration. It's always something that I might consider doing. Is it anything right now that I'm jumping on? Not really. Especially considering right now I'm actually in the process of promoting Project 7. It's going to be on Machinima. I'm going to be focusing on that. I'm going to be focusing on actually the next episode of Project 7 very shortly. Like I said, I want it to be the best episode ever. So I'm going to have a lot of time and attention focused on that. Plus, a lot of new games are coming out starting in August, and it looks like they're going to have that blitz, August to the end of the year, of new game, new game, new game every single week. So I'm going to be busy with that. But this is a great idea, and it is something that I've considered to do for a series that I may start at a later date. Next question. I just wanted to, Phil, I'm a longtime fan. I just wanted to ask if you feel you're in a good spot with your YouTube career. How do you want it to go in the coming years? That's from Zicky Kane. Well, I can tell you, Zicky, that number one, yes, I'm in a very good spot. I'm making good money. What I'm doing with the money that I'm making, it's allowed me to become stable, meaning I'm not worried that all of a sudden I'm going to stop making money or anything like that. It looks like this Machinima partnership is working out splendidly to the point where I'm getting new opportunities now, like going to E3, getting my series promoted on their channels. This is crazy good stuff that's happening. Am I blowing up to the point where I'm one of the biggest YouTubers? No. Well, I don't need that. I've kind of said in the past, maybe I don't want to get to that level. It's called making it small, where it's not making it big, you're making it small. You have a dedicated fan base, you're making good money, but you're not to the point where you're a fucking crazy celebrity, and I think I enjoy being where I am. He says, how do you want it to go in the coming years? In the coming years, I would like to continue to branch out and do other stuff, meaning, yes, I'd like to cover other events, I'd like to go to more conventions, I'd like to continue to go to E3, possibly get the ability to see behind-the-scenes stuff at E3, which I was a little disappointed I couldn't do that this year. On the flip side of that, obviously, yes, I would like to start to maybe branch out and do other stuff. Not exactly sure how I can do that. Maybe it would be through starting new series, like the previous question had said. But there's other things that are going on as well that may prevent me from doing that. So we'll see what happens. I just would love to be consistently good at doing what I'm doing right now. Do this for another maybe several years, see how it goes, and go from there. Alright, next question from Chris O. He says, the Olympics start tomorrow. After MegaMan X week, will you or Rambo be doing anything special for it? I forgot the Olympics started this week, and then I found out, and I said, so what I'm thinking of doing is I might get Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games 2012, and maybe John and I will do some of that on Saturday. I actually heard some negatives about Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, that unless you beat the game in single player, you can't play any of the single player missions two-player, that there are two-player missions, but there's not a lot of them. That's disappointing. What I'm going to try to do is figure out if there's a way to get a save file that I can basically unlock the full co-op for that game. If that's the case, maybe we won't be playing that this Saturday. Maybe Mario and Sonic is a timely thing that would be cool to play, and I think it would be funny too. So we'll see what happens with that. But I may be doing some gameplay of that. I think that would be pretty neat. Brian Brent says, what will you do if you can't finish Borderlands 2 before Resident Evil 6 is released? Borderlands 2 is supposed to be 58 hours long. Are you just going to skip some side missions? Well, if you remember correctly, I said that Borderlands 2 is going to be a co-op game where I'm definitely doing it with John Rambo. There's a strong chance that maybe the Aerie Lord, maybe our friend Joe, there's a possibility that our friend Corruchado may do it with us. We're all kind of mulling about who's going to do this, who can do a full playthrough of the game. The thing is, if you're doing full co-op, no, we can't do every side mission because there's no way we're going to be able to coordinate 58 hours of our schedules. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 days tops, but no, there's no way we're going to be able to do every side mission. More than likely, we're going to be focusing on the primary, story of the game. Maybe a couple side missions here or there to get better weapons, but we're not going to be doing 58 hours of gameplay of Borderlands. Let's be honest. Borderlands is a fun game to play, but when you start doing the repetitive stuff, that's exactly right. It's repetitive as hell. May not be as good views-wise because of that. I'm hoping that the co-op will kind of stave off some of that. But we're going to try to keep it as interesting and fun and moving as fast as possible without dragging on, which means we're probably going to skip a lot of the repetitive side content. Alright, last couple questions. Susie Walker asks, a few superhero movies have been released recently, but which superhero do you think deserves a reboot, a new movie, or a movie debut, and why? Of course, only one possible thing can come to mind, Howard the Duck. Because why? Because I can't wait to see the cigar-smoking, quack-foo, swearing, crazy-ass anthropomorphic duck kick ass, have sex with human women, and I want to see some more duck tits. If you don't know what I'm talking about, actually go watch Howard the Duck. It's a movie made by George Lucas in the 1980s. It has all those things, yes, including bestiality with Howard having sex with a human woman, and also humanoid duck titties. I'm not kidding. Watch the movie. Last question. This one's from Will Azunla, and he says, if you were a Mega Man villain, what would you call yourself and what powers would you possess? Of course, I would call myself Dick Man, and I would have the rocket crouch thrust. That would be my amazing ability. Alright, we've run out of time. Thanks for joining me for Ask the King. As always, remember, this Sunday, July 29, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on Machinima Respawn, Project 7 series trailer debuts. Please go watch it. Please comment. Please rate it. Please help to stave off any haters. Let's get this shit popping. And also, check out Schnozman a Hole Punch on Sunday as well over on John Rambo Presents. Thanks a lot. I'm DSP. I'll see you next month for Ask the King. Peace.